welcome back to another Namaste. Hey everyone, welcome back to another exciting episode of the Iconis Podcast. As usual, I am one of your hosts, Barry 3D Carter for Deep, Dark, and Delicious. Hey, hey, hey,
Hey,
hey. And on my side, as always, is the one, the only, the Mr. Spectacular. He's Mr. Saturday Night at a roller skating ring. You don't know. And the one I'm talking about, the man, the myth, the legend who's got us dancing all night long. My cousin,
DJ Rod C. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome. We have a wonderful episode for you. You know what? We're going to talk about somebody. You know what we're going to talk about? No. I'm not going to fall for that trap. I'm not going to fall. I ain't saying nothing. Not yet.
we ain't saying nothing. He ain't saying nothing. Let's get down to it. So we passed 150 episodes. We've got up to 151. This is episode 152. The episodes we're going strong. We took a little bit of a break. Hey, because sometimes you got to woosah the moment. All right, then. And here we are. We back once again. All is blessed. All is blessed, right? And I got to say it this way. So before we jump into the episode, as we like to say, manners maketh a man. So we're going to do a couple of quick shout outs. So shout out number one is you got to buy the books to support the show, support the shows, support the movies and all that stuff. And if you want to buy your books, you got to go out to a couple of places. So one, you got to go to Kitchener and you got to hit Wow Comics, tell Wes and the guys we said hi. If you want to find a different place, you can go to Cambridge out in Ontario and you can find Andrew at A Hero's Tale and tell him that we said hi. And for our friends here in Montreal, you can just roll on down on the South Shore, hit up Check's Wings, tell Trevor and the rest of the guys the Iconis Podcast says hello. There you go.
Hello.
All right. On that, we're also part of the Subculture Podcast Network. It's us and a bunch of other podcasts are out there. So please check out the link. You see it up here, and give them a shout out. As you can probably tell, I'll say this right now. Usually I'm at home in my little studio. This time I'm in Montreal. So guess where I went? I went to Check Swings. And I saw Trevor and the guys. I told them, I said hi. So this is where, I might be a little bit different today, but that's all right. On that, we also have to give a shout out to my boys, A Touch of Gray Matter. That's Zolf Ali and Dave Sokolowski. You want to find where we're doing comedy? Then very simple. You check out barry3d.com. That's my website. You'll see where we're posting all our shows coming up and stuff like that. There we go. We're getting back to that grind soon enough. I got something coming out in Kitchener, Caravana Weekend. For our fans out there, I will be performing out in Kitchener. More details to come. Okay.
Let's go.
Let's go. I think I've got everyone covered, unless I'm missing someone. I'm a little bit rusty. Hey,
No,
what's wrong with you?
What? There's still one person.
There's still one person.
The mystery man, the mystery guy. The untold soldier, the man who's part of us and not part of us, but he's always around.
That's right.
The man who makes us look good. The man who makes us look good.
He makes us look pretty.
Look pretty? You make it look pretty. That. Because he did
only one man. So there's only one man. If you need a template for your own show, for a podcast, a live show, you need any kind of digital graphic arts being done. There's one man and one man you should reach out to, and that is
J Bird Digital Art.
Mr. Jason Reese, J Bird Digital Art. You tell him you heard about him on the Iconis Podcast. He'll give you a 10% discount off the work, and that's worldwide. All right. On top of that, Rod, where can we find you?
Ladies and gentlemen, as I always say, you can find me on the World Wide Web. You can find me on Instagram at Mr. Rod C. Make sure you hit that follow button. Follow me there. You'll get all the information on what I'm doing. All the parties I'm playing at. Twitch, playing on Twitch, playing at the roller rink. I'm all over the place. All over the place. But also, you can find me on the world of TikTok. You can find me on TikTok. You can find me at DJ Rod C #1. That's DJ Rod C #1. Let's see. Yep. I believe that was about it. We can go with that. Yep.
Oh my gosh, I forgot almost one thing. If you too want to do a podcast, you can follow us on IconisPodbean.com. Iconis.podbean.com. That's where we have all our episodes, our main hosting. And of course, wherever you get your podcast from, you can find it there. And of course, remember, like, subscribe, and share on the YouTube channel. Please don't let the show be a secret. Every little click helps us. Okay. And if you two want to do that, please, you know where to go. All right. So now, on today's episode, tonight's episode, this afternoon's episode, overnight episode, whenever you listen to this episode, we are talking about the one and only
The Human Fly by Marvel. The Human Fly by Marvel.
The Human Fly by Marvel. Now, here's a couple of things. I know you're gonna say, okay, but Barry, what Human Fly? There's a lot of Human Flies around, right? Like every comic books, company seem to have a Human Fly. Marvel's had a couple of
True.
them. We are keeping it strictly, oh Canada, Canadian by hitting to me the most dynamic Human Fly that had nothing to do, and that was done by Marvel Comics, and he was the world's the wildest superhero ever because he's real, the Human Fly. He had no superpowers,
None.
none, but he was a
None.
stuntman. He was a stuntman, and he was a real live stuntman. He actually existed. He's done interviews. He did 2 stunts, and then he went the way of the dinosaur. He just disappeared. Here's the thing,
Into
though.
the wind.
Into the
Into the
wind.
wind.
Montreal Canadian. All right, we'll get into that. So first of all, for issue number 1 of the Human Fly. So we're talking about the Human Fly. You see the picture of what we're looking at. He's in a red costume with white. Looks very dynamic. He's got a cane. Like he's pimping, and he's out there doing what he's got to do. And the Human Fly first made his appearance in September of 1977.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, ran for a couple of issues. Now here's why it attracted me to the Human Fly. He was created somewhat by Bill Mantello. Who's Bill Mantello, by the way? You should know because you hear me talk about him all the time because especially when we covered our podcast of Micronauts.
Yep.
Ah, 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 right? So in the story, he's a normal human. He's got augmented durability. Okay. And he uses, equipment. So why augmented durability? Okay. Well, the Human Fly, described as its origin when you never see his face. He was just a simple guy. He had driving his car in the comic book I'm talking. He was driving his car. He had an accident. He woke up in a hospital and they had to replace most of his bones with metal. Bum, bum, bum. No bionics though. I mentioned it's Canadian. Right.
It wasn't within the budget. Of course, it wasn't in the budget.
Was not in the budget. It was, that's right. You see, right. You go on America's Got Talent, you get money. You go on Canada's Got Talent, you get Tim Hortons. Okay. So it's not in the budget. Just saying. So this is where he came about. Now, this is so funny, okay? Because, nobody knew who he was. So he was unknown. He was severely injured in a car crash. After a long hospitalization, that's when he came out. He got reconstructive surgeries. And I said, much of his skeleton was replaced by steel. Okay, so pretty much every time he walks, he's working out. This is because he's got to get that muscle back. And then he decides to take up the masked identity of the Human Fly and become a stuntman. Okay, and he performed daredevil stunts because he was influenced. Well, Marvel was influenced by the one and only Evel Knievel.
Mm.
Now, of course, yeah. Yeah, you like that. I was an Evel Knievel fan. I had the whole Evel Knievel scramble van back in the day. Okay, that's right. Okay. Yeah. See our episode we did on toys. Okay, you'll know what I'm talking about. I gotta go there again. And basically he was do events for charity. He would raise a lot of money, but because there was so much money there, a lot of criminals, basic storyline, wanted to rob the charity. And for him, he would do charity to raise money for hospitals, children. He was like a Make-A-Wish Foundation out there, and that's what his whole purpose was. And that's really the Human Fly. So now, that being said, every time criminals try to rob him, he would be there to stop them because he wouldn't even take any big money. He would just take enough money to cover his expenses, pay who he's got to pay. And like the bulk of the money, I'm talking like 96, 97% of that money he raised is going to the charity. Okay.
Such a good guy.
Right. Like he's amazing. Now, the character is based off a real person because marketing is everything. Marketing is everything. So how did a normal person become the Human Fly? Well, here we go. You had a guy and his name was Rick Rojatt. So Rick Rojatt was a Canadian stuntman, according to him. And he was sponsored by 2 brothers who had a company here. Like I got to find what the company was, but that's how he came about. They 2 brothers who had and then here's what comes. So yeah, So this is what he was the inspiration for the company. So it was two brothers that got behind him. They said, "Hey, I can't remember what the company they had, if they made little cakes or something like that, but they're the ones that got behind Rick Rojatt and say, hey, we want to sponsor you to be a stuntman." And then they worked out a deal with Marvel to say, hey, we got a real life superhero. Stan Lee, always quick to look around and said, count me in. It was quick to take up that deal and say, okay, let's make it happen. So Rick Rojatt did two stunts. So his first stunt was he was on top of a plane of a DC-8 airliner, and it was flown by Clay Lancey. And he was strapped to the top in his red outfit. Now, if you see how they drew the human fly and you see how the human fly looked,
Yep.
the best way I can describe it is how he was drawn is what you would do if you ordered him from a name brand store, right? But how he looked is if you ordered him from Wish or Alibaba.
I saw where you're going. I literally saw where you were going. I'm like, oh boy, here we go. I saw that. It was a Timu or Alibaba, and man said AliExpress, Alibaba, and Wish. Right. I wasn't even ready for Wish. Touche, sir. Touche.
Still got it. So he was a very slim, lanky man. He got in there. He did some interviews. He did some TV press. And then they strapped him to the top of a DC-8 liner. They put him up there. They put that plane up to full speed. Reporters were there. Off it took. They watched him flying on the outside, and he passed out because of lack of oxygen. No mask. He was just in the spandex of the costume. And that's how he went out. Yep. That's how he flew around. Yep. Passed out. And he got a severe case of windburn. Not sunburn, wind burn.
Now, you see, I'm seeing that whole environment, and I'm sure if anybody really take a minute and think about it, we've seen that. Now, we've seen it on TV. We've seen it in the movie. We've seen a boy by the name of Ethan Hawke, who was holding on the side of a plane as it was flying off. Now, we saw Ethan did not have no windburn, but, you know, he just happened to have the proper... he had the budget to have the proper, the proper type of protection and, skin cream to save his skin. Right. So he didn't get any windburn.
Yeah.
Good going, Ethan. Good going.
Well, it shows you what happens when you drink Labatt 50.
What?
With courage. I'm not saying he did, but I don't know where he came up with that idea. And everyone was like, you're going to do this? He's like, yeah. Okay, fine. Then he tried it again, pulled it off a second time. All right. Now, once again, we keep it strictly Canadian. Maybe we should have left this episode for Canada Day, but hashtag Canada Day coming up. Close enough. Here's the other kick in the head. So he decides to do another stunt because he sees Evel Knievel as a threat.
Foolish mortal. Don't fall for the trap, son.
Come on, man.
But that's big. That's big leagues, Rick. Are you sure you want to? Oh, okay, Rick.
Knievel's a bad boy, jumping motorcycles for years. He's jumped things he shouldn't jump.
Right, but off your first one, you passed out, Rick. You sure you want to? Okay, Rick.
All right, here we go.
Let's go. We'll strap him in.
Yeah. So in 1977, Rick Rojatt contracted a hydrogen peroxide, rocket-powered Harley-Davidson Sportster. That's the motorcycle, right?
No.
He built. His plan was to jump 27 school buses.
Good old Montreal Olympic Stadium.
At the Montreal Olympic Stadium. During a Gloria Gaynor concert. Because Evel Knievel jumped 13 buses. He was like, I can double that.
Plus one.
Plus one. He did 13. I'm doing 27. I don't know if this man could ride a bike. I don't know who put him up to this. I don't know, who gave him the courage for it. But he got his motorcycle. At this point, they worked out a deal with Marvel. Marvel's like, okay, hey, if he makes this, we're banked. And Rick Rojatt off down the strip. Remember, this is the opening act at a Gloria Gaynor concert. Gloria Gaynor was all that and then some. and he went to jump those 27 buses. And I don't even think he made it over at 10 because that motorcycle came down, a crashing and a burning, a tumbling and a rolling, a ricking and a rocking and a rocking and a rolling. And he suffered a broken ankle and some other injuries. He was lucky. That was just that.
Just that. Now,
he then retired from public life. Right after that, he retired from being a stuntman. He retired. Deuces. Now, here's the thing. Nobody knows what Rick looks like because we've never seen him without the mask. And Rick turned around and just went away. So maybe Rick Rojatt was not even his real name. I don't know. I don't know.
I got the mindset of hearing the whole story of that in my head. Rick, I think we could do something. I think we got a plan for you, Rick. What do you want me to do? You heard what Evil did just the other day? You heard what Evil did? He did 13 buses. Yeah. You could do more than that. You could do more than that. Let's support Canada. Let's go. We're going to double it plus one. Double it plus one. 13. That's 26. 27. That's a lot of buses.
That's a lot of buses.
Are you sure? Listen, we're going to have a rocket powered Harley. We're going to give you a little extra kick, a little extra juice. Don't worry. You're going to make it. You're going to make it. So someone didn't give him liquid courage. They just gave him just verbal courage, and I don't know. And I can think one other thing. The first one, he passed out because he was going too far, too high, lack of oxygen. He thinking, okay, you know what? I'm going to be on the ground. I'm just going to go up about maybe 40 feet in the air. I can still breathe in that atmosphere. That's not too high. I can breathe. I won't pass out, so I won't be embarrassed. I think I could do it. 26.
All right, look.
Plus one.
Plus one.
Okay, Rick.
All right.
No problem.
All right, Rick. So here it comes down to it. Can I give you the joke? Can I give you the joke?
Please do.
Gloria Gaynor concert, right? He's gonna jump. He's the opening act. You know Gloria Gaynor's. Do you know her biggest hit?
I will survive. I
will survive. He's jumping in front of a woman who says, I will survive. Okay? Like, come on, son.
Verbal courage was going for him. And unfortunately, probably on the way down, he started singing a little tune. He got into a little hook of a song that he just recently heard on practice. I will survive. I will survive. I will survive. No, Ricky.
This rocket cycle's now going to the side. I will die. I'm like, okay.
Man.
Right. So I'm
happy someone gave me some other verbal courage when he woke up and say, Rick, don't do that again. Don't do that again. It ain't worth it. Don't worry.
Please.
Just exit stage right. Do like Spider-Man. Now, here's the question is, I'm only thinking this right now. Mm-hmm. Now, I'm going to give you the picture of an individual walking down an alleyway, and you got a close-up of a garbage can, and you have a mask just hanging over, a whole suit hanging over, and the back of someone just walking away. Now, did someone kind of gave him the verbal liquid encouragement to do that, and Stan Lee being Stan, like, that's not a bad idea. You know what? Right in somehow in a couple of months, that Spider-Man, he gives up the ghost. What'd he do? He threw his suit away. And no one knows, because no one knows what he looks like under the suit. I'm just saying, that's all coming right now. I just thinking this right off the top of the dome. Thinking it right now. So I'm just wondering, was that something that someone gave him the verbal courage? Don't do it again. Do it again. No one knows your face. We paid enough. We had an excuse. So when you came in, take the mask off. Who's that man? Don't worry about it. Just fix him up. Get some money. Fix him up.
Right.
We just rolled you out the back door and you're gone.
Yeah. Okay. So here's a funny thing if you mention that, right? Because in The Human Fly, I can't remember how many issues it ran for altogether, you know,
Yeah, I will tell you.
right? No problem. So while you're looking that up, here's my little story. So the Human Fly, he did have some
17,
crossover. 17 issues,
19.
right?
Sorry, 19, 19,
19,
19. I
19.
knew it was a
So
long
Human
number.
Fly, right. So the Human Fly ran for 19 issues, which means there's like 12 issues in a year, one per month. So it ran just under 2 years. So it did have a good following, even though some of the stories were not like continuations or stereo. Some of
Yeah,
them did continue. So here's the other part of that.
years and a
Was
half.
there, yeah. So did Spider-Man make an appearance in the Human Fly, one of the episodes? I mean, one of the comics? Yes, he did. Was it started off as Peter Parker, Peter Piper picked pepper, but run rhymes. All right, there we go.
Woo!
Peter Popper picked pepper. I can't even do it right now. Okay, Run DMC. All right, I gotta butcher it. So Peter Parker does show up in there to report on an event that he's supposed to do because Peter is there as a reporter to watch the Human Fly do a stunt. It goes awry. They're on a plane, and then he has to slip away to become Spider-Man while the Human Fly is helping out. And the Human Fly is the one once again outside because he's got like suction cups on his costume to almost do the raw crawler thing. And I'm like, would you send out Spider-Man? But that's okay. The one crossover that I thought was kind of cool that made sense is Ghost Rider. So Johnny Blaze, the original Ghost Rider, because he is Stuntman in the Marvel universe. That was what his
Yep.
whole day job was before he's
Yep.
like the spirit of vengeance. They both ride motorcycles. They both went on some kind of charity race. So it was the Human Fly and Johnny Blaze. And I'm like, okay, now I'm with. This makes sense to me, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then of course, and then his team that he worked with, he had other people that he worked with. So one guy helped him with building the gadgets, but the guy was missing his hands. He only had like hooks for hands, right? So the Human Flies team was made up with people that went through trauma, were amputees, and are really trying to put a positive spin on that, which I thought was nice. I mean, if you missed it, some people might say, oh, it's corny, but hey, Daredevil can't see. He's the most handy, capable person I know. Okay.
Right.
So now you got the Human Fly, and he's trying to, I guess the book was trying to inspire. It didn't really seem to have what they wanted to do with this. So
Mm-hmm.
here's my take. Can the Human Fly come back? Yes. I I I think we can, right? The reason we're talking about it, because we're not going to sit here, I'm not going to sit here and trash the Human Fly because I was into it. So every time I saw the cover, this is something that Marvel always did right. The older covers of the characters we cover on the show, they're
Mm-hmm.
always in a dynamic, moving pose, or there's a lot of emotion on the covers. That's why I like the comic books from yesteryear. It's the ones now. The ones now have their storylines, and I'm not knocking that, but it was always something of, okay, issue number one, let's just take a look at this cover.
Mm.
He's running. It looks like there's an explosion. Then there's a helicopter to the side, and it's a picture of him upside down. Then there's a picture of him tight rope walking over a fall. And then you see the picture of him on top of the plane, right? And then he's underwater at one point fighting a shark and smacking the shark in the face with his cane. Like this whole thing just screams action, action, action. Do I know who the Human Fly is? No. He's in a red costume similar to Daredevil, white gloves, and the way his boots were drawn, and he had a little rocket on his belt. Sure. It wasn't even a fly. It was a rocket, like our logo. It was a rocket because our collection's in outer space. That's why we have a rocket, right? Because collection is huge. Got to keep it in outer space. Okay. All right. That's the dream. And he's got a cape
Mm-hmm.
halfway draped over his body. So it gives me Evil Knievel vibes. It gives me Elvis vibes. And you think in 1977, that fit the world. That was
Yeah.
the time we're in.
Mm-hmm.
I think it could have gone a bit deeper and further. So
Oh,
I
for
liked
sure.
it because it was always something action. So the stories were a little bit, maybe not as dynamic as the art, but I'm always a fan of Bill Mantello. So that's one. Human Fly, okay, great. 1977, I'm still a young kid, and you tell me the Human Fly is real? Okay, everyone that watches all those Marvel movies, you spoiled because this is the stuff that we had a Lou Ferrigno, Bill Bixby as the Hulk, right? That's what we got as live action. We got the 1977 live action Peter Parker as Spider-Man. That's what we got. Doctor Strange looked like he came from a swingers party more than the mystic arts. That was it. Iron Man looked like he was wearing an iron lung. Those are what the Marvel movies I remember, right? Captain America didn't even have his suit in the real one. It was a red, this big rip guy, and he was wearing, looked like a surfer dude. It had the elements. So this was the closest we're going to get at the time.
Yeah.
No CGI, no nothing to a superhero.
Yeah.
Now, it was a dark period of fans. We just had to hold on. It was a dark period to be a comic book lover. It's like, oh man, at least someone put on the tights. And the costume is accurate pretty much to what's in the comic book. Close enough, reasonable facsimile, let's go. And as
Mhm.
fans, we had to jump on it. I think they missed their mark on how they should market it, but I was behind them issues. Rod, what do you think, man?
Yeah.
We'll get into
So
this and
no,
break
no,
some of this down.
definitely. Listen, I agree. And now the reason why, let's go with the title right off the what's the synopsis of the blurb, the wildest superhero ever because he's real. So now you got to give a dynamic of what I see when I see the human fly. I now think of, again, and I'm going to say the name so people don't kill me. He's like a Batman only because he's a person who don't have any powers, but he can still keep up with the team of the people that he's associated with. Now, yes, the human fly doesn't have any superpowers or anything like that, but they're saying he's the wildest superhero because he's real. So he has realistic type of goals and dreams and understanding that I can only do a certain amount of things before I say, okay, I'm too close to like tapping out type of scenario, but I'm going to give it my all. He, to me, is the up-to-date, better equipped version of, let's say, the Green Hornet, in the sense that he's someone like you don't expect him to be. He didn't purposely turn out to be his goal was not to be a superhero. Right. His goal was to be like from birth type of whatever the case would be, only because he was in an accident and basically because they had to reconstruct it to save his life. They basically gave him like hollow steel, bones to just basically to keep himself, and with that, having connection with, try to remember the name of his gadget guy with the hook,
yes.
And you see, you see that he had gear. He had, like Barry said, the suction cup and stuff like that. You see this in an episode later on. He's on like a skidoo, because Canadian out in the snow, and is basically labeled red with a white, star. So that means, listen, I got people painting me, giving me equipment. So I feel like, yes, he could be. So he could be that type of individual who is the neighboring superhero. And you can see, again, the storyline didn't really match because of the time. It didn't really match the imagery, but the imagery made it seem like this guy can do just about anything. He basically, right? he may not be the man without fear, but he was close enough. He was close enough.
Well,
within, about 2 blocks away, there's a human fly. We'll give him that. He's close to Daredevil.
Thank you.
So yeah, I can see it actually happening right now if they basically rewrite the whole process, the whole storyline, and just give it a more modern look, a modern style of story, and just say like, okay, due to some wild accident and whatever the case to be, justify it that he has the bone, has the reconstruction and so forth. I feel it could actually work. I think it could actually work in the modern quote unquote Marvel universe.
I believe so. Yeah. I'm going to tell you how. I'm going to tell you why. Right?
Okay.
And we're going to get down to a quick fan cast of this one. You ready to hold on to this one? You ready?
Okay.
All right, here we go. All right. So to me, first and foremost, the human fly, we don't have to change too much about it. We just got to add some more substance to the character. So here's the things that work for me. First of all, I like the name. I like what he's supposed to do. He's different. I understand his motivation is raising awareness and raising morale for people that have gone through traumatic situations. Well, okay. You got check marks there. All right. Then on top of it, you're dynamic. You have the skill set. So what was he before? We don't know. Right? So we got to get more into his backstory, because how do you learn to do the things you do? Right? And how could they apply into a real world setting? So that's it. So there's 2 ways to go about the human fly. Either you make him total joke, farce, parody of himself. And I think that's the low hanging fruit. That's the easy way to do it. It's almost where they redid Starsky and Hutch. and they did it as a parody. And, people are funny, but people like self who are original fans of the show, we wanted a true Starsky and Hutch and not making fun of the
Hmm.
70s. Everyone can make fun of the 70s, low hanging fruit. No, we're going to take this in a serious. It's going to have some humor. But we're going to take some serious notes. So here's the nutshell of it. You take the human fly as that. You figure out a backstory of who he was and figure out why, and then rope that in. And I think the human fly could be the way he is, but slash a great spy. Make him an agent of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Listen. I was thinking along that line to come back to that because we don't know what he looks like underneath. We don't know what he looks like underneath. So for all we know, like you saying, he could have been trained and set up from S.H.I.E.L.D. from the get-go. And this is your MO. You're just again, we've said that for other characters where, they have the ability to just go across the world because no one's going to look at them and perceive them of being some type of international spy, being some type of threat. He just goes and does what he got to do on his real life job. And then when he needs to, time for the human fly. And that's it. Take on that persona, be a stunt and whatever. But the thinking that is part of that. No. That's completely different.
Right. Because the stuntman has an air of excitement around it, just being a stuntman. Henceforth, why the Fall Guy is out with a movie. This is why the Fall Guy had a TV show. This is why Evel Knievel was so popular at the time. This is why, as a Hanna-Barbera, Filmation wanted to come up with another stuntman called Devlin. Instead of evil, it was Devlin, like devil, right? And right. So make him secretly an agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. Let's go to a TV show I used to like back in the day called Cover Up. And the idea of Cover Up was it was these gorgeous women that were supermodels, and they would go across the world to do these exotic shoots, right? Like for Sports Illustrated, so forth like that. And the cameraman that went with them was a secret agent. So his cover was he was the photographer or the assistant to the photographer of the models. So when they would go to exotic locations, like, hey, we're going to go and we have to do a 12-month calendar shoot over in Russia because we want to get that background. Oh, that was how he got into Russia without alerting authorities. And then when they would be doing their whole thing and distract, the officials because all of a sudden, oh, beautiful American women. Oh, let's talk to them. Oh, what's going on? Oh, I'm not feeling so well. He would run out the back, break into where he's got to break into, deal with whatever people, keep his cover hidden, come back and then join the party. He's like, everything okay? Yeah, good. I think it's time we can go. All right, girls, party's over. We got to leave. Okay. And that was the whole thing. Let's keep that now with the human fly. Make him a secret agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. This is why his backstory is a little bit shrouded. The idea that he's going around the world to do all these stunts as fundraisers and raising awareness, that's the cover. But when he gets in there, he has to go now and do his secret mission. Now, of course, you don't fly in the day you do your stunt. You fly in a week before, 2 weeks before, and you do your stunts, right? To prepare, right. That gives him enough time to bring in certain equipment like ramps, his motorcycle, and of course, he can hide things in these pieces that he needs to use later on, part of his gadgets. He's going to go through customs like, what's this? Oh, well, I need this part for my ramp. No, it's really going to hold maybe a device that's going to help him break into something. And he has his on-set mission. So in the public eye, he's a stuntman. He's going to go everywhere. He's going to have carte blanche because each nation's going to say, oh, well, we're putting on a show. You want to have the human fly? Yeah. All right, cool. And then get stuff from, and not even Nick Fury. Give it to someone else. Give it to like Gabriel Jones or Dum Dum Duggan. Someone at Pierce Alexander. Someone is his handler in S.H.I.E.L.D. that he will work with to keep that cover and let that be the storyline. Now, here's the other thing now. Do I want it live action? No. Because we're not going to have enough action budget for live action. Make it cartoon. Make it a cartoon. Give me a voice actor. I'm good to go.
Okay.
But yeah, and that's how you put him in the Marvel universe without taking away his legacy. Because if he existed, he should have. There's fans out there that still collect his comic books, even if they laugh at it. They still bought them. I did.
Okay.
So that's my
Okay.
2 cents. Now,
Hmm.
if I got a cast, well, hold on, before I even get into casting, what's your idea? What's your take on the human fly, Rod, before
No,
we get into the casting?
I guess I didn't really
That
ponder
deep.
the animated aspect of it. I really didn't ponder that. I was gonna go for live. I was gonna
Okay.
go live. I was
Right?
gonna go live, and now thinking that maybe this is where the segue can go. Let me go live first, and then you go into anime. Let me build up, and I was gonna have a particular actor play represent him, give that realism of saying, okay, he's actually because the nice thing how I always loved as an example Batman. Batman, just like I said, I brought him as an example earlier. He does the Incredibles type of stuff, but you always read that. So when we're now seeing it in full life, seeing it first time, seeing Michael Keaton, portray the Batman, and I'm like, yeah, now I can see the realism of it. So now when I go back, it's much easier for that storyline visually to see that. So my mind was thinking along that line. So I'm just saying, I would have a live action one and see the actual reality of him trying to go up and suction cup up the wall. Him
Right,
doing
right,
all
right.
that. You see that happening, and then you realize, like, yeah, it is possible. It's not just a drawn idea, it's an actuality that's saying, but nowadays, everybody's perception has been much clearer because of all the movies we've gone through. We have a better understanding of realism and saying, okay, even if you saw it in a cartoon, it's like, yeah, I can see how it does actually meshes out and it does make sense. But if you see it live first and you come back to an anime, to me, that's a nice little solid, more realism for someone who doesn't have powers. That's really what the key is. For someone who doesn't have powers, seeing them in a live action first, then rotate them and twist the idea, not twain, but change the idea into an animated after. That
Yeah.
would work out.
All
Yeah,
right.
that's how I would pivot that particular way. I would do live first, and then pivot to your storyline of
Right.
going that. And when you start to see, like, I've seen him live, and it makes sense what he's doing. So whatever he does in an animated, I'm like, yeah, I can see that. I can see him jumping
Okay.
from building close enough. He's able to jump across it. Hey, Batman can do it. Yeah, Human Fly can do it too. I'm out. Deuces.
Okay. All right. So let's get down to it. So
Mm.
who would you do as your live action person?
So I will admit, initially,
Mhm.
I was looking for someone to represent the Human Fly more from the human aspect of it, the original Rick Roback. But seeing Rick, like you said, he's very slim and slender in that particular way. But then when you see him in the comic books, you see him like muscular and more action. I'm like, nah, I need action. So I'm gonna go back to someone who I know. I've seen him do a whole bunch of different stuff. Taron Egerton.
Oh, okay. Iggsy.
He Bigsy.
Iggsy from the Kingsman.
Exactly. I can see I can see Iggsy doing that because of that. He has that ability to to do it. So I'm like saying I'm seeing him, action wise. Iggsy just, or Taron, sorry, let's go by his real name, Taron,
Sure.
can pull that off very nicely. So give him the ability to do that, and then uh I would say like one or two episodes. I wasn't looking for a three. I was really looking
Right.
for maybe one or two movies. Get the origin, get him built up,
Right.
and then
Okay.
say the
Okay.
second one. And the second one will be another adventure, another episode where it's just so dramatic that you're like, okay, I can see it now. It's starting to make sense, and that's when we. So if we do a third one, then we pivot into anime, and then it's just like series, and then it
Yeah.
just goes off from there. But
Okay.
I have
All
Taron
right.
Egerton as mine.
All right. All right. I respect that. I like that. I like what you're doing because I can see him in the costume. I can see what he's going to do and go forth. Right. So for
Yes.
myself, I was going straight anime because I want the stunts really over the top and I don't want it limited by budget. So the way that's my thought process. So the actor I was going for, we've heard him. We like him. People want him back. He'll be back. Trust me, he'll be back. Just as recently, his name is AJ. AJ LoCascio, or yeah, LoCascio. Everyone knows him better. He's Canadian. Everyone knows him better. I believe he's Canadian. Yeah, everyone knows him better as Remy LeBeau. He played the voice of Gambit in X-Men '97.
Okay.
He's got some flair. He's got some flair. He doesn't have to. He can do multiple voices, right? So he's got some flair. So that's who I'm going with.
Okay.
On the human fly.
Okay.
Right.
I hear it as an anime, yes. Yeah, he has the grit to it because he's also was Lothar in Voltron Legendary Defender, and that was one of my the recent adaptation of Voltron. I love that. So yeah, that'll be nice. Okay.
Right,
I see what you're doing. I see what you're doing.
Thank you.
Okay, I see what you're doing. Okay, cool.
Thank you. Yeah. All right, then. Well,
Yeah.
This brings us another end of another episode of the Iconist podcast. And the icon is the human fly. On that note, any last words, Rod, before we wrap it up?
In this particular individual, this is the time we refrain from swatting him with the fly swap. This is the fly that we do like. That's all we ask. I'm just saying. Flies in the room. This is the one time. Just make sure if he's wearing a red suit,
let it go.
Just let it go.
All right, then. Cool. Well, everyone, as I said, this has been the Iconist podcast. And remember, this whole world was started by a pencil, piece of paper, and lots of imagination. Keep on dreaming. We're out.
Don't forget, subscribe, like, share, let everybody know we here. No, wait, would that be a bzz as a B or a bzz as a...
They sound the same.
I don't know the proper tone.
They sound the same to me. Like they say the album.
Yeah.
I'm just making a joke. All right, cool. We out.
Let's go.